Okay, welcome to the Sharp End Podcast, ladies. I'm really excited to have you here. Your organization has kind of popped up on my feed for a while now. I'm like, what is this? And let's talk about it and let's learn about it. So I'm really grateful that you have both shown up tonight to chat with me and tell me all about Women in Rescue. So why don't you both go ahead and introduce yourselves? Cassie, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, my name is Cassia Gede, and I have been a member of Albuquerque Mountain Rescue for almost 10 years now. And it has been a pivotal component of my life. It's brought so much richness and depth and value through experiences and relationships. Um, and in that process, myself and my teammate Aspen started Women in Rescue, which is a community organization we're super excited about and to share about. Outside of rescue, recreationally, I love to get out and climb, predominantly on gear. And my day job is I'm a high school science teacher.
Very cool. So you, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yes, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, cool. Hi, Aspen. What about you?
Hi, thanks so much for having us. So I am also from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I joined Rescue about 10 years ago. That's how Cassie and I met. We were in the same rescue class. And like Cassie mentioned, rescue has just been such a huge part of my life. I joined when I was 19. And so I feel like I've really been able to kind of grow up in the context of rescue, and it's really shaped who I've become as a person. And so I'm super grateful for those experiences. And so we recognize how impactful entering rescue can be. And that was one of our motivating factors for creating Women in Rescue. And we've also recognized that there have been some unique hardships as a result of that too. And so we're excited to be having those conversations. For my day job, I am in nutrition. I used to be a high school teacher with Cassie, and now I am becoming a registered dietitian. I climb a lot. I'm in the process of learning to mountain bike, so I fall on my mountain bike a lot. And so that's been a really fun process.
Or not so fun, depending on how you look at it. So when did Women in Rescue start?
So it started for us as an idea about 3 years ago. It was really haphazard. We decided to just start an Instagram page titled Women in Rescue because one of the things that we didn't have very much of was female role models
Females.
within our organization, and especially those who were in technical leadership. And so we wanted to start cultivating a place for women who occupy that space to become those role models, and also a place for just women to build that community, share some of their common experiences, and hopefully build into a lot more.
So when you started, is it safe to say that your search and rescue team members were mostly male?
Our team is about 30% women, so we definitely have a community of women, and that has been such an impactful part of our rescue experience. And so even though our team has a large percentage of males, that female community has made such a difference, and having Cassie's friendship has made such a difference in the experience. And so we've kind of gotten to see both sides of that, where we would like to see more, and we saw the need for more mentorship and representation. And we've also seen what a pivotal role that plays for us and how we experience rescue.
So what does Women in Rescue do? What's the mission or the goal of the organization?
So, our primary goal is to work on increasing, starting at kind of the base level, increasing representation, showing that women
Nice.
do belong in this space,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we don't see that.
Right.
We don't see women portrayed in the space, and we see their absence very notably in leadership in this space. We also want to facilitate community building, and we're really hoping to look to the future and start holding some seminar classes. And we've got some really fun ideas on the table of where we're going to grow from there. But we want to really address some of the issues, not just with representation, but also that pipeline component through working with a lot of the industry and having conversations with them of how can we eliminate some of the barriers the women face in this industry so it can be more accessible.
Do you have anything to add on that, Aspen?
One of the things that we've really noticed is that our industry is just kind of behind the times. So
Right.
when we look at the outdoor industry, we're starting to see a lot of really active, positive efforts made for inclusion. So things like affiliate classes. ARI, for instance, has done an awesome job of starting to have women specific avalanche classes. They have mentorship programs or scholarships. And so they're really trying to identify some of those root causes for why we might have disparities in numbers in these spaces and work to address those. And in rescue, we really haven't seen those efforts. And actually, the idea of those efforts has been met with some pushback or a lack of interest and overall some concerns. And so we would really like to see rescue starting to model off of the outdoor industry and trying to play some catch up for getting women and underrepresented groups in these spaces.
That's wonderful. How's it going? How's it going so far?
It's been awesome. It's been really great to see how many women really want to start having these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the kind of easy conversations, but some of these harder conversations where we're starting to really look at experiences of discrimination or some of these really blatant lack of representation in technical documentation. And so while the industry is lagging, it seems like women in these spaces are really excited to finally have the place to start talking about it with each other.
So are you saying that some of the conversations that you've had with women along the way in search and rescue have been discriminated against in like on their teams, specifically on their teams?
Yes. So it's not just the barriers of entry or the idea of belonging in the space, but it's actively experiencing, and we hear it often, but actively experiencing acts of discrimination and then seeing the notable lack of having other team members call that out. And it creates an environment that is often really unsafe to participate in, and it can be really challenging to find the voice to speak up against, especially if somebody's trying to voice it about their personal experiences. And so we're hoping that things that we can develop are going to be materials that organizations like our own rescue team can rely on to help facilitate and guide some of these conversations. Because what we really believe is this conversation shouldn't be a call out. It should be a call in for everybody to come and sit at the table, because we have so much societal indoctrination where we don't really understand how certain things and behaviors and statements can be harmful. And so we want to help everybody grow into providing a more hospitable space.
Can you explain to me and the listeners a little bit about the difference between calling out and calling in?
Sure. So it's really easy to, when we're having these conversations, kind of evoke a lot of defensiveness or express ideas in a way that might seem accusative or like you are finding an individual at fault. And while there's certainly room in the conversation for individual reflection and responsibility, and that's a super important part of this, for us, we want to make it clear that we are not focusing on the individuals, but this larger systemic issue and inviting people to be part of a positive change. So it's not it's not intended to point fingers or lay blame at somebody's feet. It's saying, look, we have a problem here. And that makes sense because we live in a culture where we have a whole bunch of implicit biases. So of course it affects this industry, especially given that it's so male dominated. And so of course we should all want to be part of making a shift where it's just a more positive environment. And that has so many downstream effects, both for making people feel more comfortable there, but we also have research from the business world that shows us that more diversity in leadership and board of directors makes an organization more effective. And so this should be a common goal that we are all working towards. And we just have to figure out how to do it and have those conversations, which can be especially hard in rescue, given that oftentimes it's a very close environment and a close community. Oftentimes we think of each other like family because of what we do, and we see really hard things together. And so being able to talk about how an environment might not be safe in certain ways can be a really challenging thing. And so we're hoping that if we have an organization that can kind of lead that conversation, that it takes some pressure off of individuals to fight for that within their own team.
Were you both inspired to start this organization because you have yourselves felt discriminated against? Or like maybe not empowered to be a member of search and rescue because you are a woman?
I think yes, and it can be really nuanced sometimes. But for me, the biggest hurdle that I saw was I was able to get on the team, and I felt like I belonged there. But where I didn't feel
That's
like I
great.
belonged was in technical leadership.
Mm.
As I looked around my team when we walked on, there was not a female who was in a technical leadership role. It was all males. And it didn't really feel like there was a pathway forward for me to be able to carve out that space. And it took a lot to get there. So, in the nearly 10 years that I've done search and rescue, I have worked through what we call our technicians. Our team is modeled after the Mountain Rescue Association. And there's three primary disciplines. There's rock tech, there is search tech, and there is winter tech. And rock includes both high and low angle rescue. Winter includes both avalanche and snow rescue. And it took a really long time for me to be able to get all of my technician sign-offs. And part of that was because the opportunities were more easily provided to my male counterparts than they were for me. And I was often overlooked during training opportunities to be the one to jump on the litter. And I think part of that is implicit biases. I am smaller than my male counterparts. And so it raises the question of, well, how are you going to move the litter if there's a 200-pound dude on it and you're over the edge? And I'm like, well, there's mechanical advantage for that. I'm able to approach and problem solve for this if you give me the opportunity and the tools.
And you had those conversations.
It took a long time.
Yeah.
And it was hard. And I felt really uncomfortable
Yeah.
having to do it.
Good for you. And I'm sorry it took that long.
Yeah. So we want to try and alleviate some of those barriers for others in this space.
And so is that why you had mentioned earlier these seminars, what you said, right? That you're gonna create some seminars, and what's a seminar? What's your future seminar look like? What should we get excited about?
So we're hoping to have quarterly seminars that invite some of the women with expertise in this industry to lead them and help facilitate conversations on various topics, whether that's leadership aspects and how women can overcome the double bind challenges that they face, or if it's talking with a technical expert from a rescue company and aspects relating to that, and just create a learning environment where it's only women and there is more safety in just being able to ask a question and worry less about getting something wrong or looking dumb, right? And also just be given that opportunity for more intentional learning in the space.
Growth.
Exactly.
When should we look for those? This year, next year, 2 years?
We're hoping to have our first one in January.
January 2024.
Yes.
In Albuquerque, New Mexico, or somewhere else?
We're going to host them virtually.
Oh, very cool. Okay, cool. So it's even more accessible.
And we're looking this as at our stepping stone into what else can this grow into, and who can we partnership to talk to about holding classes. So maybe we're not the organization that holds the training classes, but we can talk to some of those really big names in the rescue industry to help support them in the process of holding affiliate space classes, so that access is provided. and women have access to it. I mean, I would have loved to have early on in my rescue career have gone up to Colorado with some of the big names and known that it was a class full of women where we often learn in similar styles and face some of the similar challenges in this environment.
And so you're gonna make it happen. You're gonna create that.
Yes, that's the
Your
hope.
dream, you're gonna make that happen for other women. That's really sweet. That's really beautiful. So, does your organization cost money to be a part of?
There's no cost to join it. We really want to make these efforts accessible, and we've really made an effort to include that in conversations where if we do end up charging for some of these seminars or training classes, we want it to be as low of a cost as possible so that we reduce a financial barrier, because we know that's something that often comes up in these spaces where everything is very expensive and that makes it hard.
I mean, gear, expertise, knowledge, training, the time. I mean, it costs money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it starts to add up quickly.
So what would be the first step to get involved with Women in Rescue?
Join some of our socials. We are definitely very present on Instagram and Facebook, and that's where we've done a lot of our community building. We do have a private Facebook group specifically for women in this industry, so it can be a safe space for someone to come and ask questions, look for community networking, maybe find somebody else in their area but not on their team to get some support from. And just keep checking back with either our socials or our webpage, womeninrescue.org, for announcements on these kind of digital classes.
Future seminars.
Yeah. And whatever that grows into, we definitely have mapped our 1 year and 5 year goals. We just are holding them close to the chest because we're afraid if we speak them out loud, they might not happen.
But you're manifesting them happen close to your chest. Great. Well, is there anything else you two ladies want to add to tell the Sharp End listeners about your organization and why they should join, or something, one of your experiences maybe?
I would just say that I would encourage anybody who's interested in a rescue team to reach out to their local team or organization and ask what it takes to join. I think it can often be a really intimidating process, and you often doubt whether you have the necessary skills or outdoor expertise. And really what teams are looking for is enthusiasm and passion and the ability to commit the time. And
It's a lot of time.
Yes, it's definitely a lot of time.
They train a lot. Like the Alaska Mountain Rescue Group, which is my local search and rescue group, they dedicate so much time to training on a monthly basis. So they're prepared for any call out at any time of day or night. And I've wanted to join the Alaska Mountain Rescue Group for many, many, many years now, but I just can't commit the time with my work schedule. So I hear what you're saying. That's a huge commitment, which is kind of what deterred me, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish I could.
Yeah, but
I want to so bad.
when you're ready, and when people have that space in their life, it's such an amazing experience, and it gives you so many experiences, whether that's being short hauled in a helicopter, or going across a high line between a canyon. And so those experiences, as well as just being able to be there for somebody at their time of need and know that you were able to sacrifice something that was really meaningful and really made a difference for somebody, it's something that is super life-changing. And so if you're interested and have the time and passion for it, you should go for it.
Well, I am so grateful for getting to sit with you two amazing, inspirational women. And I really hope that some of these female listeners can really relate to what you said and hopefully get inspired to what you said, and maybe go and sign up to their local SAR team. And again, Cassie, you want to just say your website one more time, and then your Instagram handle and Facebook, so people can be able to find your organization online and connect with you too if they like?
Yeah, so our website is womeninrescue.org. Our Instagram handle is the exact same, womeninrescue.org, just Women in Rescue.
Easy.
And our Facebook, it's under the same thing, Women in Rescue.